Matimba. Gaina. All power. All power. Thank you, comrades. Thank you very much. National Chairperson, Comrade Banega Mbete, Deputy President, Comrade Halema Mantlante, ANC officials and members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, leadership of the leagues and MKMVA, our alliance partners, SANCO, and other representatives of the mass democratic movement who are with us here, traditional leaders and religious leaders, representatives of the fraternal parties from the SADC region who have been with us from the beginning, comrade delegates and deployed cadres of our organization, members of the diplomatic corps and other observers, comrades and friends, we have come to the conclusion of our very successful and fruitful 4th National Policy Conference. We have met during a significant week in our history on the 26th of June, the historic Congress of the People adopted the Freedom Charter, the minimum political program of the African National Congress. The Freedom Charter outlined a vision of what a free, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic South Africa should encapsulate. Every policy document that the ANC produces, every action it takes in the furtherance of the national democratic revolution is aimed largely at achieving the minimum demands stated in the Freedom Charter. This 4th policy conference has, against the background of the Freedom Charter, engaged on various organizational and policy issues to finalize recommendations to the 53rd National Conference in Mangaung in December. In the 2005 National General Council, the ANC reaffirmed the position that the power and authority of the ANC lies with the branches. They said, amandla asemasebe. Amandla asemaganjeni. Matla atswa makale. Die sterkte van gesag lê by die takke. That is the strength of the ANC, the branches. And when the national conferences of the ANC meet, be policy or NGC, a national conference, it is actually the conference of the branches of the ANC. That's where and when they discharge their power and authority as they take the decisions to guide the ANC in the next period. Its branches of the ANC are the embodiment of our organization and embodiment of our democracy, of our culture, of internal debate and scrutiny, of our culture indeed, of through our culture of engagement in our internal debate. This has been clear in practice in the manner in which comrades engaged on all the discussion documents that the National Executive Committee had placed before the conference. The ANC concludes this conference wiser and stronger because of the hard work undertaken this week. We will now be refining these proposals over the next few months until the 53rd National Conference in Mangaung in December. Comrades, on Tuesday, in opening the conference, we advocated a radical shift and a giant leap towards economic and social transformation. In our draft discussion document on strategy and tactics, incorporating what we called then the second transition, this was informed by the fact that regardless of progress we are making in transforming our country in various sectors, the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment persist. These affect primarily the black majority, women, and the youth. Conference has agreed and reaffirmed that despite major achievements, the structural legacy of colonialism of a special type, including patriarchy, remain deeply entrenched. This is reflected in the colonial racist and sexist structure and character of our economy and development. In this regard, conference has endorsed the need for a radical economic and social transformation program. The branches of the ANC, in their wisdom, have declared that we are in a continuing transition from apartheid colonialism to a national democratic society. Therefore, conference resolved that the interventions required to speed up change, especially with regard to economic transformation, can be understood as marking the second phase of the transition to a national democratic society instead of the second transition proposed by the National Executive Committee. This second phase of the transition shall be characterized by more radical policies and decisive action to achieve the change we envisage. In moving to this new phase, conference reaffirmed the characterization in the 1997 Strategy and Tactics that April 1997 1994 was a historic breakthrough in the struggle for democracy. It was a decisive departure from a colonial system spanning over 3 centuries and a revolutionary break with the past. We therefore, proud of these achievements we have scored since then. Indeed, a lot of work has been done in 18 years to transform our country. In the opening of the conference, we outlined the various challenges that indicate to the ANC that something drastic must be done. These include the skewed ownership and management of the South African economy, which needs to be corrected. With regards to the ownership of the economy, after excluding the value of foreign operations, the gross black ownership of the South African assets on the JSE is equivalent to 6.8%. Our simple estimate of black economic empowerment net value, which is the value that remains after subtracting debts owed by black shareholders, but without taking into account debt repayment through dividend payments, is 78 billion rand. This is equivalent to 3.3% of the value of South African assets on the JSE. The gross BEE market capitalization without taking into account the debts owed by black shareholders is estimated at 170 billion rand. This is equivalent to just above 3% of the JSE's total market capitalization. Obviously, this state of affairs cannot be allowed to continue forever. The country has to do better at the level of the management of the economy as well. According to the 2011 Commission on Employment Equity Report, black people accounted for approximately 86% of employees covered in the reports analyzed by the Commission. However, it found that black people were only represented by 16.9% at top management and 35.9% at the senior management level. People with disabilities accounted for approximately 0.83% of the total number of employees reported by all employers in the period under review. The figure hobbled at 0.70 in 2006. The challenges and host of others at an economic level underline the need for the radical shift that we are proposing. Certainly, if we continued with the state of affairs, at the rate at which we are, we will have to give an answer, why do we do so, when the situation is as grave as it is in terms of the economy. Therefore, conference has directed that this shift will require a maximum unity of the ANC and the alliance so that we can sharpen our capacity to advance this program and defend the national democratic revolution. It also requires that we build the maximum unity of the South African people behind this proposed policy shift. The ANC urges all South Africans to appreciate that unless we decisively deal with racialized and gendered inequality, poverty, and unemployment, our collective democratic and constitutional achievements would be put at grave risk. And that's the reason why we say we cannot continue. Because if we continue in this way, our gains of our democracy would be put in the grave risk. Because those who feel the pain might one day say, enough is enough. This is not the question of theory. We're not theorizing about the plight of the poor. It's a reality that needs us to resolve. To implement our resolve for drastic change, we are guided by the Freedom Charter directive that the people shall share in the country's wealth. In this regard, conference reaffirmed the economic transformation resolution that we took at the 52nd National Conference in Polokwane. We had said in Polokwane that our most effective weapon in the campaign against poverty is the creation of decent work, and that creating work requires faster economic growth. It is recommended that to drive this economic program will be a developmental state in a mixed economy where the state, private capital, cooperative and other forms of social ownership complement each other in an integrated way to eliminate poverty and faster shared economic growth. We proposed the following transformative state interventions: financial regulation and control, including through the state-owned bank, wage and income policies that promote growth and address poverty and inequality. Progressive competition policies aligned to our development objectives. A well-resourced and state-led program to implement industrial and trade policies. State ownership, including more strategic use of existing state-owned companies. Conference also resolved that in this second phase of our transition, where we have emphasized a radical shift in the economy, the ANC will prioritize women's economic empowerment. Conference recommends a review of all the business and industrial codes, including the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act to ensure that women are prioritized. Women are significantly the largest group carrying the biggest economic burden. It was agreed as well that women in cooperatives must be capacitated with business, financial and management skills, and with access to finance. In other words, what we are saying, instead of just taking these resolutions, we must have programs that will affect our decisions. Gone are the times when we take decisions and we don't implement. We now want to implement these. Once they're affirmed and decided in December. With regards to minerals, there was broad consensus that minerals belong to the people as a whole and should be governed by the democratic developmental state in the interests of all South Africans. Mining should have a developmental impact and promote job creation. The state should also capture an equitable share of mineral resource rents and deploy them in the interest of long-term economic growth, development, and transformation. More importantly, we agreed that mining should create safe and decent work, and mineral extraction should not compromise local communities or the environment. Conference agreed that state intervention with a focus on beneficiation for industrialization is urgently required in the minerals sector. At the forefront of this intervention should be the strengthening of the recently created state mining company by consolidating state mining assets into a single institution. Comrades, in light of the centenary of the 1913 Land Act, conference emphasized that land reform must represent a radical and rapid break from the past without significantly disrupting agriculture production and food security. Conference moved that the state must mobilize resources to reverse both the human and material conditions of those displaced by various land policies. Transformation imperatives deal with the triple challenge of poverty, unemployment, and inequality in rural areas must be addressed without any further delay. It was agreed that we have to ensure equitable land allocation and use across race, gender, and class. A comprehensive audit of state-owned land and surveys of state-owned land must be completed by December 2012. Conference also affirmed the proposal to replace willing buyer, willing seller with the just and equitable principle in the Constitution immediately where the state is requiring land for land reform purposes. Conference also recommends the implementation of the Freedom Charter's call to help those who work the land with implements, seeds, livestock, tractors, irrigation infrastructure, and other material support. In this regard, the state must scale up the recapitalization and development program and the comprehensive agricultural support program, including the communal areas. Conference has also recommended against ownership of South African land by foreigners in principle. We also agreed that ownership of land by women needs to be accelerated in order to address poverty. There are a number of other proposals on land that will be taken to the National Conference in December for consideration and finalization. These are aimed at fundamentally correcting the land question for the good of the country and to address the poverty situation which was deliberately created by colonialism in our country. Conference also welcomed the infrastructure program, which will have a positive impact on improving social and economic infrastructure and job creation. Comrades, we have at this conference emphasized that urgent and extraordinary measures are required to address youth unemployment. Some of the proposals on the table include those contained in the National Youth Development Strategy, a tax credit to incentivize youth employment, the provision of training subsidies, and a youth work seekers grant linked to skills development. All these proposals aim to bring new entrants into the workplace while still protecting the jobs and conditions of existing workers. We propose a discussion on youth employment that embraces the private sector, public sector, youth organizations, and trade unions, given the gravity of the situation. We'll continue to debate these matters and various other economic transformation questions within the ANC and Alliance in preparation for the National Conference in December. Comrades, conference emphasized that this new phase in our constitution, in our transition from apartheid colonialism to a national democratic society characterized by more radical policies, will require the renewal of the ANC, the Alliance, and the broad democratic forces. In other words, the renewal is not restricted to the ANC, is to all of us in the Alliance. The renewal of the ANC over the century of its existence has been guided by the nature and content of the struggle against apartheid colonialism and its legacy as elaborated in its strategy and tactics. Conference has agreed to the proposal for a decade-long program of action, at the core of which is a cadre development policy, which must be the centerpiece of organizational renewal. Accordingly, conference recommends that the 53rd National Conference should declare the next decade a decade of the cadre, in which there will be a key focus on the ideological, political, academic, and moral training of a critical mass of ANC members. The ANC will continue to promote core values as the gradual erosion of the core values of the ANC threatens its continuing existence in the second centenary. Conference emphatically condemned factionalism and agreed that political discipline is a necessary ingredient without which no organization can achieve its goals. In this regard, we reaffirmed the NGC's call for firm and consistent action to instill discipline across all levels of the organization without fear or favor. Conference will also recommend to the 53rd National Conference that members who are found guilty of wrongdoing in other institutions of society should also be subjected to internal disciplinary processes in line with the ANC Code of Conduct. This will send an unambiguous message in society that the ANC does not tolerate any wrongdoing, including corruption, among its members. Let me make this point to the comrades. When we deal with discipline, my good comrades, let our rules not have eyes and see others and don't see others. Let us also not have double standards, wherein we think that the Constitution works to others, but to others we want to defend them and talk languages that is difficult to understand and talk about political processes as if the ANC disciplinary processes are not political. The ANC Constitution is a political document. It deals with political ill-discipline, and it has to be applied equally. There must be no better comrades than others. Once we allow one case to be difficult, not to allow another and another and another, and that organization will go down. With my few years in this earth, I've seen organizations dying because they relaxed discipline. And that led to them withering away. We joined the ANC voluntarily. And we must accept the fact that we are part of the decisions with regard to discipline, its processes, and we must respect them when they happen. If it happened to my brother or my friend, it must apply equally the same. And I'm emphasizing this because after Mangaung, we've got to change gear, because our gears have been wobbling up to now. Conference also agreed that the ANC branch as a basic unit of the organization needs to be strengthened. We also agreed that the ANC should take active interest in ensuring that its leagues understand and play their full role in line with the purpose for which they were founded. This includes making sure that the leagues undergo compulsory political training conducted by the ANC as part of cadreship development. Comrades, we have also reaffirmed the ongoing relevance and role of the Alliance in the National Democratic Revolution and the need for joint programs of action. And I'm happy because we are all here as the Alliance. Once we decide there is a joint program, let us work on that joint program, jointly, all of us. Not the program for one of the partners. It is the program of all of us. There are individual programs that the Alliance take on their own, leaving that aside. Once it is joint, there must be a joint planning. How do we execute that program? It's absolutely important for us to do so. We also resolved that the civic movement be strengthened to play a strategic and proactive role in community development and local struggles for transformation. Conference also finalized recommendations on a number of social transformation issues. On education, conference noted that a lack of appropriate infrastructure affects learner performance and should therefore be dealt with urgently and in an integrated manner. A comprehensive school build program should be developed under the leadership of the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Committee. Conference also directed that a policy for free higher education to all undergraduate level students from poor and working class communities must be finalized for the elective conference for phased implementation as soon as possible. On health, conference noted the progress towards the implementation of the National Health Insurance, including the setting up of pilot sites in at least 10 districts covering all provinces. Conference recommends that a dedicated NHI fund be set up urgently using state revenue. Conference also recommends the acceleration of programs to improve the health status of South Africans through the prevention of illnesses, reducing the burden of disease, promotion of healthy lifestyles, and the performance of the health system. Because I'm thinking about somebody who said smoking is something in the revolution. Conference also recommends that the ANC continues to prioritize improving the social wage by expanding access to and the quality of basic services, implementing a comprehensive social security system, and building integrated and sustainable communities. Other critical tasks include developing and preserving our arts, culture, heritage, language, and sports language to promote social cohesion and nation building. In addition, conference adopted all proposals contained in the social transformation discussion document in relation to the anti-poverty strategy. This includes the development of the anti-poverty white paper to address poverty, inequality, and unemployment. A draft should be considered by the 53rd National Conference. Conference has also undertaken that the ANC will prepare a comprehensive discussion document on the rights of people with disabilities and policy options. On legislature and governance, it was resolved that outstanding issues relating to the creation of a single public service should be finalized through further consultation within the Tripartite Alliance, and a report be presented to the 53rd Conference. Conference resolved that a presidential commission be appointed to review provinces and make proposals on, among other issues, the role of provinces and the number the country should have and their possible boundaries. It was resolved that legislature should be strengthened as part of building a developmental state, and that their oversight model and capacity should be improved. On policing, it was resolved that the resolution to create a single police service should be implemented, integrating the various municipal police departments under the control of the South African Police Service. We also resolved that street committees should be established and controlled by the ANC, as they are part of the ANC crime fighting strategy and are best placed and led by the ANC branches. Given the challenges of undocumented migrants in the country, it is recommended that government should consider a policy on centers for asylum seekers during consideration of status. There should also be awareness programs to combat xenophobia and educate society against narrow nationalism. We also resolved that a comprehensive national security strategy to secure national key points should be developed, and that Home Affairs should take a lead in the Border Management Agency as a department which is seized with immigration issues. On the separation of powers, the ANC reaffirms the position that the branches of the state are equal parties entrusted with distinct constitutional powers in their quest to realize the ideals of a democratic South Africa. Each branch of the state must therefore observe the constitutional limits on its own power and authority. No branch is superior to others in its service of the Constitution. The executive, legislature, and judiciary should work together in cooperation and equal relationship, respecting each other's roles, powers, and responsibilities. On communications, conference agreed that a program of national dialogue is needed to forge unity for accelerated transformation. The ANC also need to intensify interaction with broader society and reset its position as a leader of society. Conference agreed on a comprehensive review of all information communication technology policy documents in order to develop a single national policy on information, communications, and technology. In addition, conference recommends that one of the new tertiary institutions should be a center of excellence in information and communication technologies and engineering studies. An example is the one in the Northern Cape in view of South Africa securing the majority portion of the square kilometer array. On international relations, the conference affirmed that the ANC moves from the premise that our international relations policy is directly informed by our domestic policy and vice versa. Both domestic and international policy are mutually reinforcing with everything they do to link up, to work together. The ANC remains committed to its founding values of a struggle for a humane, just, equitable, democratic, and free world, in particular, a free Africa. Africa and its development remain the central objectives of the ANC, international perspective and policy, with the African Renaissance remaining a key policy objective. As an anti-imperialist organization, the ANC will continue using its progressive internationalism and solidarity as a premise through which it looks at the world. The ANC will focus on its solidarity campaigns in support of the building a humane, just, equitable, and free world order, particularly as it comes to the South and the developing world, and in particular Africa. Conference also agreed that we'll continue to build and deepen relations with progressive, like-minded governments and former liberation movements in Africa across the world. We'll increase interaction with former liberation movements such as that we have in our region, and certainly in the SADC countries in particular. This will be with an intention to deepen the commitment towards human rights and democracy with our colleagues. We congratulate the Pan-African Youth Union, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. It was established in 1962, even before the formation of the Organization of African Unity. Comrades, the ANC is a unique organization. We are the only organization in this country which takes policy making so seriously as to dedicate so many days and effort to it. We are also proud of being the only organization that is 100 years old, not only in this country, but the continent. The success of this conference is proof of the fact that this organization began to make policies in 1912, 100 years ago. We take this opportunity to thank all participants for ensuring the success of this conference. Firstly, the discipline, dignity, respect for one another, and unity that prevailed has optimized the African National Congress that we have always known and which we are proud to be members of and to serve. Comrades have displayed exceptional conduct and have restored the integrity of the organization. Agreed, not so? Yes. When we opened the conference, we said the ANC is the leader of society, not only of its members, and that our conduct as members must reflect that national responsibility. Indeed, this has been displayed in all respects. Agreed? Disagreements took place in a comradely manner and with a view to enhancing the policy proposals. This augurs well for the organization that is on the path to a second centenary. You displayed, comrades, in the commissions that you were here to help enhance our policies. You had at some point different views, but debated them with dignity and discipline. This is something to be appreciated. Yes, it has been a landmark conference indeed. Against a lot of speculation before the conference that were out there. And I've always said that people believe they know and understand the ANC. And equally, they always prove themselves less knowledgeable about the ANC. One of these examples was the fact that the ANC prepares papers which are finally, after discussions in the branches, are finally presented to the conference. And it is a conference that has the final word. Not individuals, not the NEC either. It is the conference that has the final word. I heard and I saw people saying there was one issue that is going to divide this conference. I'm stubborn. And the African National Congress, as it always does, has deliberated, argued, and came to a conclusion, a wonderful conclusion, unanimously. But I don't know why people will take the organization's thing and make it to be owned by individuals. I don't know why. They don't learn. Do they? Comrades, we must now go back and report to all structures so that we move together as a united African National Congress to the 53rd conference in December. In the process of our reporting and going forward, we'll be debating further these matters, refining them, helping one another so that by the time we get there, we'll be more clearer on the issues as we made it here to be clearer on the issues when we met. Comrades and friends, the first president of a free and democratic South Africa, Tata President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, will turn 94 on the 18th of July. Conference extends its best wishes in advance to Madiba on that special day. We wish him well. We wish him long life. We say to him in advance, happy birthday, Madiba. Comrades, we have come to the policy conference. We have opened it. We have gone to our commissions. That gives us more time to debate the issues. We have debated. We have taken resolutions. We are now on our way to our respective areas, expected to continue to make the preparations as I've said. Make no mistakes. Have the meetings to report. have meetings at different levels to report to the comrades. Absolutely important, so that those who will be delegates in December will be informed as you are about the issues, so that the provinces will have time to reflect on the issues and look at other papers that will be submitted for December conference, informed by the papers we discussed here. Thank you very much for making the ANC proud in the manner in which you conducted yourselves. We wish you, all of you delegates and those who were invited guests, a safe journey home. Keep this ANC the good brand that it is to ourselves, our people, and the world. We have learned from one another. We are better empowered at the end of this conference. We wish you safe journey. You are leaving very late. You are supposed to leave earlier, but because you are the ANC who is special, who would not leave without resolving matters. You wanted to discuss issues to their completion. Thank you very much for that patience as well. Manza! Awethu! Matsa! Yarona! All power! All power! No mabubi sia yo sia no mabubi sia no mabubi sia
Well, that's how we come to the end of this special broadcast. But do join us on Sunday between 6:30 and 7:30 on SABC 1 when we tease some of the things you heard the president of the ANC talking about there. We are having an interview with him on Sunday at 6:30 on SABC 1. Till we meet again, good night.